Realistic Fiction Writing for Kids. Episode 1. What is it? Realistic fiction is a genre or type of writing. Realistic means that something seems real. Fiction means stories that are not real. So realistic fiction is a type of writing that seems like it could be real, but it isn't. The things that happen in the story could really happen, though. In realistic fiction stories, the characters seem like they could be real people or animals, but they usually aren't. That means no vampires or superheroes, just regular people. The same is true for the setting. A realistic fiction story wouldn't take place on the moon because that's not realistic. It may take place in a park or at a school. The events that happen in the story are also realistic. The problems that the characters face are real problems that could really happen to real people. So when we write realistic fiction, we use our imagination to create stories that haven't actually happened, but they could. Are you ready to start writing your own realistic fiction story? Check out episode 2 to learn how to start brainstorming ideas. Realistic Fiction Writing for Kids. Episode 2. Brainstorming. Now that you know what realistic fiction is, you can start brainstorming ideas for your story. Brainstorming just means thinking of different ideas. We will brainstorm the most important parts of the story: the characters, the setting, the problem, and the solution. Then we will add more details when we actually start writing the story later. So first, I need to think about the main character in my story. Characters are the people and animals in a story. Remember, the characters should be realistic. Sometimes it helps to make the character kind of like yourself. I think I will write about a little girl and her dog. I will name them Mary and Sam. Next, I need to decide on a setting. The setting is where and when the story takes place. It has to be realistic, though. I think I want to make my story take place outside on a snowy day. Now I need to think of a problem. What could really happen to a little girl and her dog on a snowy day? Ooh, maybe Mary slips on the ice and Sam gets loose. That would definitely be a problem. Finally, I need a solution to the problem. How will that problem be solved in the end? Maybe a stranger will see Sam and he'll lure him with a piece of food from his grocery bag. And then Mary and Sam can go home to be warm and safe. Wow, I think this is going to be a great story. Now that I have a plan, check out episode 3 to see how I start writing my story with an awesome introduction.
Last year I wrote about the possible threat of coronaviruses and the urgent need for planning. The truth is that I'd argued for
Realistic Fiction Writing for Kids. Episode 3. Writing an Introduction. In the last episode, I started brainstorming some ideas. I thought about the characters, setting, problem, and solution I wanted to include in my story. Now I'm ready to start writing, but I need to begin with an introduction. A good introduction will get the reader interested in reading your story. The introduction should also introduce the main character and the setting. There are many different ways you could start your story, but here are a few of my favorites. 1. Describe the setting, especially if there is something special about when or where your story takes place. 2. A sound, starting with a boom or a bark, will definitely get your reader interested to read more. And 3. Dialogue. You can start your story with a character talking. I'm going to try to use a combination of all three of these ideas for my introduction. So here we go. One winter day, Mary was cuddled up on the couch with her dog, Sam. Swish! Wow, it sounds like a blizzard outside, said Mary. Sam ran to the door and barked to go outside. Okay, said Mary. She put on her heavy coat and Sam's leash, and they walked outside into the snow. Did you see how I introduced the setting? I used a sound, and I made my character talk? That makes a good introduction. Now I'm ready to write the rest of my story, including the big problem that happens when Mary takes Sam outside. Uh-oh. Check out episode 4 to see how I start writing a draft of my realistic fiction story.
Every day I have to exercise my judgment about things like this and decide what to discuss with them.
Realistic Fiction Writing for Kids, Episode 4, Writing a Draft. I'm writing a realistic fiction story. In the last episode, I wrote an introduction. Here's what I wrote. One winter day, Mary was cuddled up on the couch with her dog, Sam. Swish! Wow, it sounds like a blizzard outside, said Mary. Sam ran to the door and barked to go outside. Okay, said Mary. She put on her heavy coat and Sam's leash, and they walked outside into the snow. Now, I need to continue writing my draft. I already know what the problem and solution will be, but I can't tell them right away. I need to build up to the problem with some smaller, less important, and less exciting events. That will make my problem seem even more interesting to the reader. So let's get started. Brr, it's so cold, Mary said. Snow was falling down from the sky. Mary and Sam started walking down the sidewalk. There we go, just a couple of normal events to build up to the problem. The problem is the most important part of the story, so I have to really zoom in on it. I can't just say, Mary slipped and fell and Sam got loose. That would be so boring. I have to make sure I give enough details so the readers can really picture this part in their minds. So here we go. The snow began falling harder and harder. Uh-oh, we better go back home, Mary said. Mary and Sam turned around and started walking quickly back towards their house. All of a sudden, Mary slipped on an icy patch on the sidewalk. She fell to the ground and dropped Sam's leash. Oh no, she said. Sam excitedly took off running as fast as he could, and Mary hopped back up and tried to catch him, but he was way too fast. Come back, Sam! That is a big problem. I can't just end the story here. Now I need to describe the solution or how this problem will be solved. Check out episode 5 to see how I write the solution to this problem and a closing to wrap up my story. Realistic Fiction Writing for Kids, Episode 5, Writing a Closing. I'm writing a realistic fiction story. It's about a girl named Mary who takes her dog Sam on a walk in the snow. She slips on ice, drops his leash, and he runs away. I've already written an introduction to my story, the events leading up to the problem, and a detailed description of the problem. Now I'm ready to write about the solution or how the problem gets solved. But this part is really important too. I can't just tell the solution in one sentence. I need to give details about what happened. Suddenly, Mary saw her friend Carlos walk around the corner. He was walking home from the grocery store. Carlos, can you help me? Sam is loose. Carlos had a great idea. He pulled out a donut from his grocery bag. Come here, Sam. Sam sniffed the air and ran right to him. Thank you so much, Carlos. Whew, aren't you glad that problem got solved? Well, I can't just end the story here. I should add a final closing to my story. We can do this by telling a lesson the character learned, leaving the reader with a little laugh, or showing the feelings of the character. I'll use 2 of these strategies for my closing. Mary was so relieved. Next time, we need to be way more careful in the snow, Sam. I used a feeling and a lesson learned. I'm so proud of my story, but I bet I can make it even better. Check out episode 6 to see how I revised my writing. Realistic fiction writing for kids. Episode 6, Revising. I'm writing a realistic fiction story. I've written an entire draft, including an introduction, events, the problem, solution, and a closing. But I'm not quite finished yet. It's important to revise your writing. Revising means changing your writing to make it even better. You can revise by adding to your story, taking away from your story, or changing parts of your story. But first, you have to reread your writing and think, what would make this story easier to read? And what would make this story more interesting to read? Here's my introduction. It says, one winter day, Mary was cuddled up on the couch with her dog, Sam. Swish! Wow, it sounds like a blizzard outside, said Mary. Sam ran to the door and barked to go outside. Okay, said Mary. She put on her heavy coat and Sam's leash, and they walked outside into the snow. Maybe I should explain what that swish was. I'll add, the wind gusted against the windows. And that last sentence, they walked outside into the snow, I think I want to add something to emphasize how cold it was. But I don't want to add a boring word like cold. How about frigid? They walked outside into the frigid snow. Much better. Here's my next page. Brr, it's so cold, Mary said. Snow was falling down from the sky. Mary and Sam started walking down the sidewalk. The snow began falling harder and harder. Uh-oh, we better go back home, Mary said. Mary and Sam turned around and started walking quickly back towards their house. All of a sudden, Mary slipped on an icy patch on the sidewalk. She fell to the ground and dropped Sam's leash. Oh no, she said. Sam excitedly took off running as fast as he could. Mary hopped back up and tried to catch him, but he was way too fast. Come back, Sam. Gosh, I used the word said 3 times on this page. You know, when she dropped the leash, she didn't just say, oh no. How about, oh no, she cried? That's better. Here's my closing. Suddenly, Mary saw her friend Carlos walk around the corner. He was walking home from the grocery store. Carlos, can you help me? Sam is loose. Carlos had a great idea. He pulled out a donut from his grocery bag. Come here, Sam. Sam sniffed the air and ran right to him. Thank you so much, Carlos. Mary was so relieved. Next time, we need to be way more careful in the snow, Sam. Carlos had a great idea. I think I can think of a better word than great. How about clever? Carlos had a clever idea. That makes the sentence sound more interesting. Did you see how I reread my story and made changes to make my story even better? It helps to do this process a few times. Keep rereading and revising and rereading and revising, and your story will be your very best work. Thanks for watching this series on realistic fiction writing. Check out the Teaching Without Frills YouTube channel for more writing videos.